Many people settle into bad financial situations because they feel that taking the time to understand personal finance and investing is just overwhelming and too complicated. And so they settle into bad financial situations because of it. But not taking the time to get our financial lives in order is very risky. It sets ourselves up for failure, and we don't want to do that. So it's important to take the time and invest in ourselves by learning about these things. And so I wanted to talk to you today about the 3 typical money myths so that we can become aware of them and avoid these traps. Hi, this is Yvonne and welcome to my channel. The purpose of this channel is really personal growth and leveling up to be the best version of ourselves. So if you haven't already, click on the subscribe button to join the community. The first money myth is, I don't have a budget and I don't have written financial goals, but I'll be all right. I've been okay so far. Well, I'm here to tell you that right there is setting yourself up for failure, and it's very risky if you say that to yourself or you've heard someone say that. And I'm going to be honest with you, I thought that too, but I learned the hard way and I learned my lesson. There's a good quote by John Maxwell. He says, "A budget is people telling their money where to go instead of wondering where it went." And I know a lot of us could resonate with that quote. The consequences of not having a budget is pretty straightforward. And, if you've experienced this, what that looks like. It's out of control spending, a lack of savings, and you end up in debt and a lack of financial security. I'll tell you, those 4 things are really, really the consequences and the risk of not having a budget. You see, when we're clear with how much money we bring in terms of income, knowing our net and our gross, and also understanding and really laying out in black and white what our expenses are, what are our fixed expenses versus our variable, when these bills come out during the month, the utility, the car, the water, just all of these types of expenses that we know come out every month. And then those other expenses that just pop up, that things that we need and want. So when we're not clear with what this looks like and we understand our financial picture, we're really driving in the dark. And there is no clear lens in terms of where we're going. And without a budget, it's really challenging to be able to save money. And so what happens is you don't have a savings, and you're not able to have financial goals. So when you don't have written financial goals, that's a symptom and a sign that there's no budget to go along with it, because financial goals go hand in hand with a budget. Let's say, for instance, you have a financial goal of saving for an emergency fund, and that's a really good financial goal. In fact, that's a good place to start. Let's say you want to have $1,000 emergency fund as a starter, and then work your way towards having 3 to 6 months of savings. Well, that necessitates a budget to make sure that you stay on track with your goal. And that's a healthy sign that you've got the foundation for financial literacy. I'm going to be honest with you. I didn't have a budget early on. And like I told you before, I learned the hard way. So what happened? Well, I was making 6 figures, making a pretty good salary during, the first part of my career. Everything was going great. But then a bad economy hit. And, I was in a pretty safe industry. I was in information technology. So that's not something that I thought was going to really be affected. And so what happens? Well, I lost my position through layoffs, and I thought it was, gonna be maybe a couple months, worst case. I did have some money saved here and there for that, but I didn't plan for 6 months. It was a tough 6 months. In fact, towards the tail's end of it, I was living off credit cards, and I was racking up the debt. And I'll tell you, I was in such stress. I'll tell you, I don't think I've ever prayed that much in my life. I was scared. I was scared. I was afraid. I was stressed. And I promised myself that I would never put myself in that situation again. Never. And I never have. And so I want to save you from having to deal with just being afraid in life because you didn't plan, because you failed to plan. This could have been completely avoided had I just saved a little bit here and there, okay? Because that's what an emergency fund is, okay? It's starting with the minimum, 1,000, but then working towards 3 to 6 months. So now you've got a cushion. So if anything happens, like a job loss or a natural disaster, and those things are happening a lot more and more these days, right? So now we're prepared, okay? So maybe just set 3 financial goals for yourself and plan for it. And now you've got a good, solid, fun reason to have a budget, and then lay out a really nice budget that's going to support that, and then allow that to become a habit. You can have maybe once a week with either yourself, or if you have a spouse, a family, sit down with your family. Your kids also, if they're the right age, can get involved, and really make it something fun and something okay to talk about. Make it okay to talk about money and finances, so that all of the family is comfortable with these things. We've got to change our paradigm in getting comfortable with talking about money and being clear and transparent with ourselves and with our family, those under our roof. Our spouse, particularly if they're also a partner with us in the finances and paying for things in the home, we've got to get clear with what that picture looks like, so that we can work together and have these fun financial goals. Maybe one goal is to go on a trip, to travel with your family, okay? So these are things that you can build on. The second money myth is, a credit repair company will fix my credit. I'll be all right. Well, if you've said this or heard someone say that, I'm here to tell you that that is wholly inaccurate. In fact, credit repair companies can only remove inaccuracies, and that's actually something that you can do yourself, okay? So everything else is staying there. We've got to step back and realize that our financial credit score and our credit report is our financial reputation. Remember going to grade school and we had a report card? Well, that's our report card in life. So if we have a situation where our credit score is low, well, then that shows, whether you like it or not, that's an F. We've failed ourselves somewhere along the line, and we've got to course correct. Okay, and that's just feedback. If you miss a payment in any loan or credit card or home mortgage payment, each miss, even if it's just a month, gets reported. Okay? And each time that gets reported, guess what? Your credit score is impacted. And here's the rub. That stays in your credit report for 7 years. 7 whole years. But that's really going to limit your options in life. And I say this, with a lot of energy behind it, because I've been there. Okay. So if this is resonating with you, then I'm with you. Okay. I really, I'll tell you what, early on in my 20s, I had racked up a lot in college debt. Okay. And so it took me a while to get on my feet. And so I missed several payments that I committed to, and I should have made those payments, but one thing leads to another, and life happens and you just miss payments. So I thought, okay, well, I'll deal with that. Come to find out, my options were limited when I was trying to rent in the neighborhood that I wanted, or when I was ready to purchase a home. that was there. And so it's going to haunt you, I promise you. And you're limiting your options in life if you don't take those things seriously. The third money myth is, well, I know I'm not saving enough for retirement, but when I retire, I'll be okay. If you have said this, even in your mind, or you've heard of someone say this, well, guess what? Like Dave Ramsey says, the Calvary isn't coming. You and you alone are responsible for your retirement. You and you alone are responsible for your retirement. No one's coming to save you in your golden years if you haven't done the decades worth of planning. You had the time. Where is it? Okay? And this is real talk. Real talk. And I want to talk like this because I'm talking to myself too, and I'm thinking about the version of me that's in, her 70s, 80s, and 90s. And if I don't have this straight talk with myself and with you, for those of us that are in this age range, 20s, 30s, 40s, if we don't have that straight talk and we don't get our financial lives in order, the only person that's going to be affected is ourselves. So if we don't plan now, we're going to be working in our golden years when we should be just kicking back, enjoying our grandkids, enjoying our children, spending time with our hobbies, spending time with our friends, really enjoying life in a new and special way. And so if we don't take care of these things, what happens is our quality of life is going to be affected. And so we want to think about these things and do it for yourself. Do it for your older self. Really have compassion for that you in the future. There's an article by PricewaterhouseCoopers. I'm going to read it a little bit here. It's called Retirement in America, Time to Rethink and Retool. It says that there are too many signs suggesting that the population, so this conversation is not about just you and me. It's an issue. Okay, it's an issue that we're not having these conversations. It says here that the population is unprepared. A quarter of US adults have no retirement savings. Even those who are saving, many will likely come up short. They estimate that people will likely have less than $1,000 per month. Can you believe that? Over a 15-year retirement span. Less than $1,000 a month. What does that really get you these days? You can barely pay for a portion of your rent or mortgage with that amount, right? And so, your destiny and your dignity. I'm going to repeat that. That's important. Our destiny and our dignity is up to us. So in conclusion, there is no need to live in financial insecurity and live in a bad financial situation. Because we've talked through these money myths. They're out there. We're facing them. Okay? And this is going to result in really improving the quality of our life. I've created a money mastery program that really has two parts. The first part is the money psychology. It's really going to help us to really uncover the limiting beliefs that are causing all this self-sabotage in our lives. It helps us improve our relationship with money and heal all of those money wounds that seem to crop up subconsciously and really affect our ability to be 100% and have that discipline to show up for ourselves. So the first part is the money psychology, and the second part is financial literacy, right? That's the basics of the principles of personal finance, the stuff they don't teach us in school, and also core investment strategies, how we can set up a nice solid foundation that will compound to a very fruitful and wealthy future for ourselves. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. I really would personally appreciate it, and I thank you. And also subscribe so that you can join the community, and I will see you on the next one.